And welcome to another episode of Who Gives a Hoot? I'm Luke Braden, and today we're joined by the opposition for this week, Mason and Shajan. Uh, so, welcome.
Hey,
Glad
thanks
to
for
be
having
here.
us. Yeah, we're behind enemy lines.
Yeah, well, we're going to what honestly is my favorite MLS stadium. I think in the league overall. Uh, some of the best fans in MLS, and the not the worst defeat we've had against an MLS side, but it was close. It was real close.
Yeah,
I think it was a good game.
it was a good game, especially considering kind of the gulf, like the gulf between the like tiers, right? So,
Oh yeah, I, that was it was definitely one of our most fun away days I think we've had. Uh, and the fact we were able to draw one back at the end, just a little bit of consolation.
yeah,
But St. Louis's run of form this year versus
bad, stinky, bad.
so, how are you guys feeling? You're sitting what?
Bad.
Well, see, it was starting to look up for a moment, and then last night's game happened, and
Yeah,
I don't want to have to record on that one tomorrow. So Mason, I don't know about
even
you,
just
but I'm
later in
totally
the
okay
week.
with directing everyone to this episode, and this is our early week episode.
We're taking a sabbatical.
We're no. It is we're doing a semester abroad, if you will.
This
Yeah,
is your
but-
international break episode.
yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, because the match before last was a draw against LAFC, which we it was a really late defeat that was completely our own fault. But also
Draw.
even
It was a
before that,
draw.
or draw, but well, okay, it felt like a loss.
It was a draw that we clawed from the jaws of victory, honestly.
Yeah. But okay, so even just the way that I'm remembering it, that's not factually true, is the way that I'm feeling about this team. But so we had no business winning that game, and we came within like 45 seconds of getting all 3 points out of that. And so before last night, it's like, okay, the team is struggling, but maybe we are turning it around. And then we just went and got punched in the mouth in Seattle. And so I don't, who knows what's going to happen.
I mean, honestly, we didn't even start off all that bad against Seattle. We were holding up against them, and we got, first off, there were a couple of good things that went our way. We actually got a VAR handball decision in our favor for once, because those almost always have gone against us, even when they were like 50-50s. It's just like, nope, handball against St. Louis, go the other way with it. We scored for the first time in Seattle. The game before, that was our first time scoring on LAFC ever. We had been shut out in the previous 4 matches against them, and we did it in LA. So like things were starting to look up, and then Seattle gets their own PK, and everything kind of turns around, and it's all of a sudden like, all right, Death Star's in full view on this one. Just kind of try to stop the bleeding as best you can, and we
bleeding did not stop.
It looked. It was almost as if I was watching STLFC playing against an MLS side in that game. And that's the level of difference in quality that Seattle brought to that match.
And
it was rough.
We had seen STLFC play against an MLS team.
Yes, but it was Chicago. But that was Chicago.
Oh, no, I mean, from where I've been watching, I'm not a strict follower of MLS. Years of Vermees kind of drove me into the dark realms of lower league soccer, and St. Louis is one of those clubs. I want you guys to do well. I want us to go in there and win because you're doing well. But where you're sitting right now, you coming off of a loss, you're going against we're not in our best form. No, we're starting. We had our first league game yesterday since the beginning of April. I think April 9th was our last league game. USL is running the USL Cup, and then we've had Open Cup games between then, but hadn't played a game in our own league for just about a month. But both our teams coming to yours coming from Seattle, ours a little bit closer, Madison, Wisconsin. So there's some travel to play, a little bit of a congested schedule. With St. Louis, you're not playing in the what is it, Campeones Cup or
the CCC? No,
we didn't make CCC or Leagues Cup is so far down the road, and
yeah,
we as a show have personally we're personally on the side of don't go to Leagues Cup because it's trying to kill the Open Cup, and we would much prefer to go to Open Cup games all season long.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, that's a little bit of where I think on the USL side, they put in the USL Cup because it felt like MLS was driving that nail in the coffin for Open Cup. Now it's creating a kind of fun dynamic within USL to keep it separate. League owners or team owners get a little bit more say in it. But with the less congested schedule, this being your first game in Open Cup, do you think they're going to take it as seriously, coming off of a loss, or is it going to be, one where you're playing your second team, your academy kids?
I think that honestly, both things are true. Because actually just earlier today, the City 2 did play against Houston and looked much better against their opposition than the first team did against theirs. So I am expecting at least a couple of those academy kids, like the homegrowns, and like maybe some of the our new super draft picks, to play significant minutes, if not start in the US Open Cup match, both to rest the starters. But they'll probably never admit this, but also because they're in a better run of form than the first team is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's some of the guys that have been playing that played in this game earlier today are actually guys that have had time at the first team level. So, like Rasmus Alm subbed in, he's coming back from an injury. Caden Glover, I think he's got a couple of garbage time minutes, but nothing major. But he's on one of those homegrown professional deals, so he could go back and forth. And then there's also Miggy Perez, who started the first year. Literally started a game and then like the next week went and graduated high school, and then a couple days later was right back on the pitch playing another MLS game. So we've got a couple of young guys that are good enough to play in this league, but they're kind of buried in the depth chart at the moment just because of however Melberg feels about who he's got. My biggest question is going into this game is looking at how we run out. I'm not going to try to guess it, but once I see it, that to me is going to tell me whether or not we're going serious all in on Open Cup, or if we're just kind of, it's games to be played, but we're going to try to fix things in the league. And I think the biggest question is if Berkey starts in this game, I think we're going all in on Open Cup, in which case, no matter how poorly we play in front of him, I wish you the best of luck, but I think it's going to extra time if Berkey's in the net for this one.
You think Berkey's better than Nuhu? I mean, you've got your old man. I'm the only one who's going to talk crap about him here because Braden's a Dortmund fan in his spirit.
Yeah, this guy over here is a Bayern fan.
Phil, you stole my favorite player. You stole him from me. In case you didn't notice, you stole him from me. I have a couple of Tottenham flags or scarves behind me. If you can't see that,
sorry,
listeners.
Did Tottenham ever give him a trophy?
No, but
ever
did Daniel Levy ever actually try to build a proper team around him? No. Did he build a team and then not get the right coach for it? Yes. So he's just not good at spending his money and will not spend the money that he gets. But that's a different discussion for a different podcast, obviously.
Yeah, that the Harry Kane Tottenham debate will be endless, but I'm just happy Bayern could give him a trophy finally after all of those years of hate in England.
The one good thing about Bayern is they gave Harry Kane a trophy. That's the one good thing about him.
But back to the Berkey argument. Yeah, if you guys are playing, your world class keeper, one of the like sneaky best signings in MLS in recent years. You signed him what, a year before he actually, or 2 years before he actually was able to play for you?
I think it was like 18 months, but he played at City 2 because we had a season where we had City 2 in MLS Next Pro. So a couple of our signings, like Josh Yarrow, played there for a year before we had the first team. I think Klaus and Leuven got a couple of games in too, and Celio Pompeu did as well.
But Pompeu was more a pickup from City too, because we picked him up like out of college, and so that seemed to be where he was going to go,
and just will not get time because one of the decisions that Melberg makes that blows my mind is any chance he gets to not start Celio, he doesn't start Celio.
So one of those players that's pissed off the wrong coach.
I don't know if he's even pissed him off. I just think he has better. I think Melberg thinks he has better players, when in reality, Celio is one of our most exciting and has the most ability on the ball as far as progressing by himself. He will take you on the dribble. He can use his foot skills to really burn guys and take them on one-on-one. He's not the paciest guy in the league, but he can burn you with some foot skills. And that's something that we need to inject if we want to actually do anything with this team. We're so just boring on the pitch. It is boring to watch this year.
I think coming from our side, we're definitely seeing, and Braden, I know you're going to have some feedback here. We won our league last year. We had a good run in all competitions, but we just did not come into this season. We had brought back a lot of same core players, but we're playing flat. And I'm personally hoping that going up against a opponent that actually is on a different level, you can make the argument USL League One, USL Championship are, depending on the team, more or less level, at least this year. And there are some championship teams that closer to MLS level, some that are very much, but we'll get to the but we're playing such a very flat, uninteresting style that it going against a team that's also looking for that spark, it just kind of, I'm worried it's going to be a boring game.
Yeah, as soon as you started to say that, I was like, oh no. Oh no, I know how this one goes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this was 0-0 going into 120th minute. Just to give an idea of what I have the idea. Like, okay, so I know City has not won in like 7 matches. Omaha has not scored much in the league in terms of offensive generation. We outshot Madison yesterday in our league match, but we did not get a single shot on target.
Mason, does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds very familiar. Although I don't think we've outshot any opponents either.
Oh no, but we had like what? We routinely get like 1 or 2 shots on frame in a game. We had, this is actually a really fun fact, and by fun I mean fun for you, makes my heart ache. We had more former players score yesterday than we had goals on the season, I think.
It's not quite that bad. But
okay, sorry, we've scored 6 on the year, and we had 4 players that left this year.
Like I said, it was
going
close.
into this season. Score Indiana Vasilev, Jose Kojima, AZ Jackson, and Anthony Marcanic.
If Anthony Marcanic is scoring and we can't, man, what's happened?
To be fair, though, we did say when these guys left that they were their absence was going to be felt very much, and it has been.
Definitely about some of the other guys. I didn't really say that about Anthony Marcanic.
I did. I was hoping he'd stay so we could pick up his brother Nick. because those two are menaces when they're together on the pitch.
Yeah, but then by the time that we really figured out what was going on with Nick Mechanic, he was worth $100,000 million. So
Yeah, we missed the dip.
I'll give the big ups on Nick. He's doing well, did well at Charleston and whatnot. But yeah, it's I don't know. Like, it's very much a question of, all right, we lost a lot of guys. We lost our main offensive output last season with Steven Dos Santos retiring and then Pedro Dobo moving up to North Carolina FC. I don't know. I don't want to say this is going to be a boring game. I want this to be exciting, but man, it's just looking to be the most dreadful midweek game I've ever seen in a while. And I've seen a bunch of them.
It's very plausible.
The schedule congestion for both teams, I think, is just going to play a bit there. There's awkward rotation, squad rotation. For you, it might work out better because you have a functioning second team that sounds like it maybe should be your first team.
Yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily go that far, but especially considering that Coach Melberg had been brought in because he had coached previously for I don't remember the name of the club, but like has like the largest youth academy in like the world. And so he was kind of renowned for being like a coach that plays young players, for being a youth coach, won't touch them. That's very frustrating. But I could see a substantial quadrant of second team players on the pitch on Wednesday. And quite genuinely, I think that could amp up the excitement level of the match for both sides, because rather than kind of our doldrums, these are kids who are kind of hungry for minutes and going to be looking to prove a point. So,
yeah. And I mean, on our side, we don't have that second team, but our scouting has to come from, the nooks and crannies, because MLS is developing such a solid academy. Europeans are plucking more and more Americans to go to their academies. Like, there's just so much more competition for talent that our scouting is really having to become just almost next level of finding people in the cracks that nobody has seen. Braden mentioned our offensive powers that left. Pedro was our one goal against you the last time we played. And he got picked up, moved up to the championship. Team, like a lot of our players, just because of contract lengths and everything, move on. When we played against Madison yesterday, recording this on Sunday, they had, was it 5 or 6 of our former players on their side, which
that's a tough situation to be in.
So I know there's like 6 total. I'm trying to think. They had. Trying to think here. They had at least 5. Yeah, they had 5 former players on the field at that time at one point.
It's hard to root against.
Yeah.
Through, especially when teams built up of half of your day one guys. Number of those faced against St. Louis last time we played. But what we've been doing, and where I think we've been successful, we just haven't had the consistency of schedule. We've had a week off here, 3 games in 7 days, and then a week and a half off after that. It is some of our guys who really just haven't seen they've kind of come through the cracks. We don't have the info on it to see whether or not they're going to be strong performers. Whereas we have other players that were brought in with fantastic pedigrees. Brent Coleman being one, coming from Minnesota United, where he was there 10 years, somewhere there.
So I mean, he was there during the NASL days, to give an idea of how long he was there. But we
that was okay.
Yeah,
well, till last year when he wasn't re-signed by Minnesota United.
Nashville, actually.
Nashville, because he switched down. But
yeah,
he has been one of the least impressive players for us. So that's where we want it to the same tune. We want to see the kids. We want to see those diamonds in the rough coming out and getting the playing time, the different different factors, different formations we can be running with these guys, and we just haven't seen that. So while I'm afraid it's going to be a very slogging, hard to watch 120 minutes to go to PKs, there is the off chance if you guys are playing your kids for some exciting, we're throwing in guys that haven't seen the minutes. It could be looking at two teams that neither of us expected, and we just have too much fun.
Well, yeah, and then you add into that the fact that I mean this with the utmost respect, but for a lot of USL teams in all three of your guys' divisions, this is the big tournament for you guys, right? Yeah. So like this is where some of these guys can showcase their skills and get plucked. So like I'm assuming that anyone in a USL team playing at this level is going to find another gear just because of the nature of the competition.
Oh, 100%. Our last big cup run, where we had Ryan Jiba, who ended the season. Granted, he got injured towards the end of our season. They didn't do necessarily the best rehab, but got picked up for a first team contract with Minnesota because of how he played against them. We've seen that where Dami got picked up for a contract with Sac Republic because of how he played in the Open Cup. And you just see a number of our players who really just put into that next gear and then end up catching the eye, either get more inquiries through their agents or get the opportunity, whether it's moving on or having a better chance to renegotiate their contracts with us.
Sure.
And we're the cocky underdog at this point. We don't go into a single game thinking we can't beat you.
Yeah. And also, quite frankly, you are going to be facing one of the softest MLS opponents in the group.
Hey, whoa.
Look, I'm not to
give us
some
credit defensively, Mason. Give us some credit defensively.
No, the defense is bad now too.
Okay, the last game or two, yes, it's been bad, but like overall, for the whole year, if you look at the whole season so far, we're about third of the way through. I'd say we've been pretty solid overall. We've had several games where it's been bad, but it's never been like, it hasn't been the last 6 games. The defense has just been god awful and piss poor or whatever you want to call it. The last game or two have been not the best, but we at least have a defined structure that we fall into when we're we transitioned back to when we're off the ball. And when we can get to it, it then creates a solid wall effectively. It's one of the best buses I've ever seen parked in front of a net. When we actually when we get to that structure, it's going to look like an elongated hexagon standing right about at the top of the 18 box. And you'll understand when I say this, there's like 8 guys in this hexagon making this hexagon, but 2 of them are in the middle of one of the sides. It looks like a crystal, almost like a rupee from Legend of Zelda, if you will.
Oh, okay.
But turned on its side.
Yeah.
But it works. It's when you stagger the 2 back lines in foosball just right.
The way that he's describing it is ridiculous. I would never think to describe it this way, but
that's
he
just
is
what
right.
I see when I watch these games, Mason. It's what I see, okay?
So if the way you're playing with this, parking the bus, you're strong on the counter, which is very extremely common of how League One operates, how your lower league is. We're very heavily counterattacking league. It's just consistent build-up's just not there for the skill for most of them. Are your thoughts that it's going to be more of a grind us down and try to make it to that 120, or are you think it's going to be a put everything forward in the first 5 minutes and then like hope for a goal and then button down?
In my opinion, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. It will depend, I think, on a couple of factors. The biggest being how many of the kids play versus how many of the first teamers play. And then this is going to sound kind of mercurial, but I can't find a lot of logic in it. It seems to depend on the whim of Coach Melberg, because there will be some times where we do just go out there and sit and wait for a counter-attacking opportunity. And then there are other times where we do go out there and we try to press and we try to come at the ball. But then not like under Bradley Carnell when we played in the Open Cup game originally, where that was our only game plan, was just press. It's not like that, but we do still bring it out of the dungeon, and it's locked in sometimes. So it's kind of hard to get a handle on the identity of the team other than the kind of 5 in the back defense at the moment. So I can't really tell you, to be honest.
I mean, it kind of depends on which players he does end up running out, like you said. If Celio gets out there, if Zonde gets a start here, our new signing that we just picked up from Atlanta United, actually, some of the faster, more exciting on the ball players get on the field, we might see a little bit of a move back towards that full Gegan press that we started as and built the team around. And I don't think we'll ever get fully back to that. But especially if you see Celio starting, I think it's going to be a more exciting game. We're going to try to take it to you because we've seen against really good teams, like our first game of the season against Colorado, who really took the league by storm last year. We came out, and if it weren't for Zach Steffen absolutely standing on his head in that match, that game would have been 3-0 City all day, every day. Just because of how often we were throwing bodies forward and just making runs in and behind, pulling defenders out of position. So we know our team can do it. It's just a matter of letting them do it,
Yeah, a combination of that, and then the injuries are stacking up. But yeah,
so the guys are coming back.
Yeah, but yeah, so like if Celio is out there, I know that I think that Jay Reed played in the City 2 match today. He will just kind of run at you. Celio will run at you and just try to take a guy on one-on-one.
And Jay Reed will fully be free to overlap down that left side as well.
Zonde Silva he played like 20 or 30 minutes in the Seattle match, but we haven't really gotten to see him much. But what we did see in that Seattle match is that he is the fastest player on the team, which I think says more about how slow we are than about how fast he is. But if he's out there, he's just going to run at you. But if it's more of the first teamers, it's going to be kind of a little bit more of a kind of midfield, like search around, try to complete passes to build up. It's not a fast break counter. It's a slow break counter, but
well, that's mostly because some people, I don't know what it is. We can get if we have the ball and we're in the attacking third, we can get back into our defensive shape real quick. It's going from that defensive shape into the attack, and actually the actual transition part of the transition game, that's where things are lacking. There's a lack of speed in getting into that attacking shape, and guys getting forward. And I don't know where that disconnect is. I don't know if it's the mindset that's been drilled into them by Melberg, or if it's, that's to some point, it could be that they're like, well, hold on a second. We got to wait until another pass is made because they very well could pass it right to the other team, and we're going to have to get right back in defense to save myself some running here and save some energy to keep defending. I don't know what it is at this point, but it is that transition moment going forward that has been seemingly the biggest issue.
So yeah, I mean, definitely that midfield control is going to be something that hope our guys exploit.
Yeah. Clogging up passing lanes in the midfield would be the easiest way to break us down eventually.
And the easiest way to do that is,
it's just to be there, kind of, because we can't complete a pass to save our lives. But that's what Seattle just did to us last night. Pretty much was just strip it off of us in the midfield and then come right at us. So.
Yeah, and that's just at this point, it's just a numbers game. You get enough guys, especially centrally, in the middle third down that center channel. You get enough guys in there, it's just going to be all right. Well, we don't know what to do with it. Pass it back to the back line, back to Lunt, and then swing it around until someone gets open and hope and pray. It's boring soccer, and we may as well have signed the reincarnation of Kyle Beckerman at this point to play CDM, because that's effectively what we're doing. Is RSL of the mid 2010s or early 2010s, when he was the talisman of the team for some reason.
Can you tell that we were very excited to talk about our favorite club?
Yeah.
No,
I love having my weekly Festivus about my team. Okay, my weekly airing of grievances.
It is, yeah.
All right. In that case, I'll air my grievances. You say, hey, we need to control the midfield. I don't really think our midfield's been in existence, unfortunately. We've been really going around relying on our wing backs to get the offensive generation. Shout out to Dion Akoff, easily the best wing back in USL League One at this point. He unfortunately cannot carry the entire team on him, and he can't be the only one trying to get into the box. So,
yeah, I know the frustration.
Yeah.
He was out towards what was it, second half of last season? Was it ACL?
I think it was a quad or groin injury. At least that's what I was able to get.
Yeah, it was enough to keep him a while.
Well, he did eventually play in the final though, and he played fine. He ran good. This year he's just on an absolute another level, tearing it up. But when you're a wing back tearing it up and you have no one to connect it in the middle, it doesn't help.
Yeah,
that's not to say that we aren't. Yeah, and that's not to say that we don't have good talent. We don't have like good looks. We have Max Schneider, who we also former City 2 player.
Maximum Schneider. Oh, I miss him.
I was looking at the notes. I was looking at the notes that we got from Tom, and I saw Max Schneider's name on there, and I was like, yes, it's one of my favorite guys, just because of the stupid joke I made up about his name.
I didn't want to bring him up because it didn't feel right to bring up your guys' player just because he used to be our player, but I was really upset when he never really got a proper shot at the first team. I'm happy he's still playing somewhere. How do you guys feel about Max Schneider as a player?
I'd say he's been probably one of our sneaky best. No, he didn't make a huge impression for most of the season last year. But this year, and towards the end, has definitely come on and just really, really impressed in a lot of ways. Picked up some maturity along the way, and is able to kind of maestro it a little better.
Do you think he's going to have that chip on his shoulder, though?
I don't know about the chip on his shoulder, but I'll definitely give it the fact that he can pretty much do everything we can ask him, whether it be being crosses from corners or being the big man in the box. And then, of course, the fact that he replaced essentially the guy that kept our defense afloat towards the end of the season and whatnot. I have no complaints about him and how he's played this season. He had a great goal against Tormenta, which is like our only league win right now, which looked really good midfield-wise, but that's because it's Tormenta and we never lose against them.
So far.
So far. We might never. We'll see how that goes. But
hey, knock on wood on that one.
Yeah.
So financial solvency is always kind of one of the fun parts of lower leagues. With certain teams, so hopefully,
that's something we don't exactly have to worry a ton about.
Yeah, it is
makes it a little bit stable, or
it is like one of the few benefits of being part of being in the organization that takes all the oxygen out of the room, right?
Yeah.
One of the few benefits of having Don Garber be in charge of all the money and say you can't spend more than this much.
Yeah.
Right. That, and also you have the billionaires that bankroll it all as well. That helps a lot.
Yeah. That's more what I meant about taking all the oxygen out of the room.
No, really where I think we we flourish, though, to Braden's point, is on our wings. Eon had a fantastic showing last night, playing on some terrible pitch and turf in Madison. And as much as he got bodied around, I hope he's fully match fit for Wednesday. But where we've been playing so far this season, we've switched between a 5-back and a 4-back. And I think we function better with our 5-back, being able, have the positioning for the wings. But my thought here is that we're gonna switch to a 4-back for this one, just for the consistency of everybody. Instead of guys who aren't quite used to the system, everybody knows how to play a 4-4-2. As horrible as that is, and it's consistent. Nobody questions it. You can play it from your kid to your deathbed, and you'll never have a question about how everybody lines up. And I could see just the high. Oh no,
you go ahead. I
just with with the high pressure situation for some of these guys who are fresh out of college, or that may be our move, is just go with the consistency over where really our strong suit is.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can play a 4-4-2, and I only played like 2 seasons of 11v11 at one point. So
yeah. If it's not 4-4-2, everyone's played a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're coming from, and I didn't mean to try to interrupt. I sometimes talk before I think about whether I should be talking or not, and I feel really bad about that.
No, it's something where I mean, the reason why I love doing these, especially head-to-head pods when you get a little bit of runway for them, is see the passion in every fan base. It doesn't matter if we're talking to guys from an amateur side or MLS or wherever. Everybody comes in with such passion, and it's just it's amazing to kind of get that exposure across the leagues for everybody. Is we're all in this because we love our clubs. Well, no, sorry, yours is a team, ours is a club.
Actually, technically, ours is a club
technically.
too. The full name is St. Louis City Sporting Club.
No, it's soccer club.
Soccer club. Sorry, that's right, because we only have soccer. We can't be called a sporting club.
Nobody.
I forgot. There was a whole thing with Sporting
Kansas
team. City because they only have one sport too.
No, nobody knows the name of this team. But
no one knows the name of us.
It's just City to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one knows the name of us either. We got called Omaha Union, not Union Omaha, over the broadcast last night as well.
In a league match, that's a bummer.
Oof.
To
be fair, our league match, the guy didn't even notice that there was a yellow card being handed out as he was talking about. He was talking about a foul that just got committed as the referee is showing on camera a yellow card to one of our players, and then it pans away and he goes, "You know what? I'm surprised that wasn't a yellow card." And then he goes, "Oh wait, apparently it was."
Yeah,
like, my guy, you have the camera feed right in front of you as you're talking.
I think that might be one of the biggest shortcomings in U.S. soccer right now. It's not the ref shortage. It's not the player shortage. It's the good announcer shortage.
Thank you. Somebody else is saying this. When your best option for color is Taylor Twellman,
well,
I love Taylor as a St. Louisan. Don't get me wrong, and he's decent at color. But if he's your best option, maybe you need some other guys.
Twellman is the show pony they put in the number 1 spot. I'm not going to say he's the best on the MLS team.
I'm not saying he is the best, but if he's their best option, take someone else out of the studio and put them in there. Another former player. Just somebody. Put Sasha Kljestan on a game and put Taylor Twellman in the studio. I guarantee you Sasha Kljestan would be one of the best announcers in the league, if not the best, if you put him on the call.
I would love to have Kljestan on as color for this game on Wednesday.
Oh,
that would
so
be
good.
Awesome.
That would be fantastic, because he's played us recently too.
I was gonna say
yeah.
the question is does he have a Des Moines Menace game to play?
No,
Not
they're
anymore,
out. They're out.
thankfully.
Yeah, they did
And
make it, right?
I have a feeling, he would be complaining about the red card he got when he played us.
Oh, absolutely. That's how he is. But I love him for it because he's you talked Luke, you talked a bit about passion when you have other fans come on. Sasha's one of those guys that really shows his passion for the sport when he's commentating or in the studio or anything. He's one of those guys, and I think to your point about we need better announcers, most of them just they've lost the spark where it's become just what they do. They don't have the energy that you get in other sports, like hockey announcers. They're announcers for decades and decades, and they just have the fire in them. And there's something different about listening to a hockey broadcast than there is about most other sports.
Well, and that's again, I think at all levels of U.S. soccer, MLS, in my opinion, made a huge mistake going behind a paywall on everything. But there just isn't the money in the broadcast for any U.S. soccer right now to be able to pay these former players for even the 2 hours, 3 hours it takes for them to jump on a mic and call a game, even at a distance. So all of our announcing for USL, unless they have their own guys on hand, is done in Tampa, Florida.
Wow.
It's all
I didn't realize that.
Right?
Damn.
Yeah.
Pardon my French, but that's atrocious. That's bad.
Even when STLFC was still around in USL Championship, and I would watch that, it was kind of like that. I don't know if it was exactly the same system, but yeah, it was just kind of a staple of guys they trotted out there who just kind of didn't really. They like knew, but it wasn't like it was like a local team or anything, like local broadcast crew.
So there is kind of the fun bit there of one of our in-stadium announcers ended up getting a job down in Florida and then was calling our games on the side while he was down there.
Well, that is fun.
That's
fun.
actually cool.
Fun piece, but it does have that kind of displaced level, where we have people who looked at their notes once before jumping to this because it's their fourth game they're calling that day. And it's just there's no passion behind it. It's a paycheck. It sounds like it's a paycheck. And if you're an entertainment organization, you want something a little bit more there. So hoping on Wednesday, Question dusts off his golden windpipes, comes on and does some color commentating. U.S. Soccer, if you for some reason are listening to this, make it happen.
Sasha Question and John Strong, do it.
Yes, yes.
That would be notably that is a combo that you would get at a World Cup match, not an Open Cup match. But this is the longest running pro sports tournament in North America. Come on.
If you're not pulling out your best for your best, then what are you doing?
Exactly.
I certainly hope so, especially with it being on Paramount this year for the later stages. They've done good work overall on soccer coverage, especially with the Golazo network being free and then other coverage of their leagues, whatnot. I'm a big Serie A fan, so I like their Serie A coverage, whatnot. But at the same time, regardless of where it's at, I want decent commentators, and I will definitely give my hats off to those who are pretty good overall. And you see him around, like Mike Watts. I enjoy his commentary, but please, let's get the big guns out here, please. This is the big deal.
Yeah, it's the cup, baby.
It's the cup that St. Louis basically owns at this point. We deserve a trophy. Just give it to us now.
I mean, let's not go too far.
Whoa. Okay. Sorry. My arch entitlement is showing.
Yeah, I was gonna say the last team to have won the U.S. Open Cup from St. Louis is for a furniture store that doesn't exist anymore. Let's not go too far.
Yeah, Luke,
you've got some of the richest soccer history in the country, but. Let's back off.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Hey. Tim Ream still playing on the national team. Tim Ream.
For how much?
Probably only a year, another cycle or two. After this, he's done. I guarantee it. He already went back on his promise that once he was done, once he couldn't hack it at the top level of the sport, he was going to hang him up. And then he goes and signs a contract with Charlotte after being the captain at Fulham for how long? And he says, "Oh yeah, Charlotte's just as good as Fulham. I can play there, and not compromise my principles." But no, I'm still proud of my. I love a good center back. I used to play center back in grade school, so a St. Louis center back just says yes.
I don't know which is worse though, playing at Fulham or playing at that stadium in Charlotte, because that's not really a soccer-specific stadium.
Oh no, it's definitely playing at Charlotte is worse.
Yeah, it's the Panther Stadium, right? Like,
yeah, it's the Panther Stadium.
Yeah, and at least Lumen, where Seattle plays, was kind of designed with the Sounders in mind. It's still mostly the Seahawks Stadium, but at least it's kind of designed for the Sounders. That's just the Carolina Panther Stadium that they just dumped them in there.
Yeah.
But they got the funding because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, for however much this team is not going the way that I want it to be going right now, at least we do play in a soccer-specific stadium.
and hey, it could have been worse. We could have had a first 3 years that looked identical to FC Cincinnati. All right?
No, instead we
could have gotten FC Cincinnati treatment.
Yeah, at least the first year looked good.
No disrespect to my favorite MLS team.
Oh, hey, no, I love FC Cincy. I've been to Cincinnati a couple of times and really had a great time. People are great. Talked to a lot of their fans, in passing, and they're great too. But their first 3 years the team was not good.
Yeah, and also
it could be worse. We could have had that, and
Cincy is also now getting their due, right?
Yes.
So
yes, very much, very much. But yeah, no, they were god awful, and I'm glad I was not only around for the later USL days as well as watching early MLS days to see that. But
yeah,
venue wise, I'll say this right away: I will take City Stadium every day of the week to play in. So.
It did just win an award in some French architecture magazine.
What?
From what I understand, this architecture magazine is actually like one of the most renowned architecture magazines in the world, and we won an award for best sports stadium.
I was looking into this. I think it's actually an organization that's a branch of the UN.
Is it?
That makes it even better. I thought it was just like some architecture like group that puts out a magazine once a month or like every other week or something like that, and every year they like architecture people and architects alike look and see like, oh man, this person's doing great work. They just did this building. And it's like actually really cool. And I'm sure a lot of people in that community actually know what I'm talking about and can probably tell you the name of the group, but we won an award for most beautiful sports stadium.
You put the source somewhere on Blue Sky, because otherwise this sounds entirely made up.
I think it is. I think our show account may have shared it on Blue Sky when it happened.
I know it sounds made up, but I remember having seen it.
I guarantee you it happened.
It doesn't sound wrong, but I feel like we got to link it, because
it also it does sound made up, right? Like especially as like kind of like a half remembered memory rather than
here it is.
I have in front of me.
I've got it. Here's the official press release from St. Louis City SC on their website. City Park, home of Major League Soccer's STLCSC, won 2024 Prix-Versailles World title in the sports category. Established by UNESCO, I'm assuming that's an acronym. Prix-Versailles recognizes the world's finest contemporary architecture and design in categories including sports venues, hotels, airports, and museums. City won the sports category.
Nice.
That's
last year.
Well,
because it was UNESCO, it was actually a branch of the UN.
You were right on that, Dan.
Yeah,
you knew more about it than we did.
You're getting compliments from the organization that determines whether it's a World Heritage Site or not. So I'll give props on that, and I'll take a note for hopefully when we get dirt in the ground for our stadium downtown. We need to show up in a French magazine for architecture.
Yeah, you need to get
Sorry, it wasn't a French magazine. It's I remembered I thought it was French because Prix Versailles sounds French
Yeah.
to me, but it's a UN magazine technically, or a UN production.
Even better.
Yeah,
All right,
I
so
guess
we-
apparently got to get a UNESCO inspector on the site.
Yeah, just give them a call. Just be like, hey, our buddies at St. Louis said you'd come check our stadium.
Yeah, just ringing up the UN.
Casually, of course.
Because I know we could keep talking for hours and hours and hours, and most of us would probably like to, rather than having to get ready for work or what all the fun we have to do for the next days. I'm going to ask one last thing for all of us to kind of toss in from your own side. What key to the game do you see as necessary for your team's success?
Uh,
Go ahead, Nathan.
I guess I'll take the floor first. I think the most important thing is that like top to bottom, just in the organization, that we take the tournament seriously just to begin with. Because if we fail to even just like much consider the US Open Cup as a tournament, then, you know, even if we manage to get past you guys, we're not going any further. So that is, I think, first and foremost, like the organization needs to care about this competition if we're going to have any success.
I'll have to say my key to the city on this one is energy's got to be up. Take a page out of Moon's book. For those that do not know, Moon used to be a member of the band. I believe it was Story of the Year. Am I correct in that one, Mason?
Brother, I have not thought about Story of the Year in 20 years. I don't know.
Yes, St. Louis-based band. Also on one of our alternative radio stations morning show. His catchphrase on the show is "energy up." We need to up the energy and really just put it into this game. If nothing else, I don't want a boring game. Whether we win, lose, or draw, I want it to be exciting. You can't be boring and lose. You can be boring and win, but if you're exciting and you still lose, people still go home like, man, that was a great game to watch. And that's really all any of us want at any point in time. You know, is I want to watch something that excites me and I get enjoyment from and makes the happy chemical from my brain drip down in my spine at the back of my head. I know that's a weird explanation, but that's what it feels like when, you know,
Understand
when you
it.
really
He's just like this.
I'm just weird, I know, but I feel like a little drip, and all of a sudden it shoots through the rest of my body, and everything is just electric. I want that, regardless of the result. That's all I want. I want the energy up, not just from the fans, from the players as well.
Okay, so he just wants everybody to have fun. Got it.
Yeah, I play group hug
Yeah.
when I play Magic the Gathering. Did you guess that one? Maybe.
I hope both teams have a good time.
Yeah, I could agree with that. All right, for me, I'm gonna take a page for local bands and do 311 song Omaha style, and we actually need to play like we have been in the past. Not that we will, but we actually need to play according to the identity that Dom wants to set out. We should probably be playing in a 5-pack, not a 4-pack. We never played well with a 4-pack under Dom. We need to be able to control the midfield and actually press with them. Need to have them to actually be controlling things.
The word. You said
what?
it.
What? I said the word. Yeah, I need to say the word. You got it. And more than anything, I would like some confidence from these guys and being able to hit a shot on target. So at least get it on frame.
Yeah. So for context of why I asked this question, for the first couple seasons of USL League One's existence, every coach had to write down on their sheet for the broadcasters of keys to the game. And every single coach wrote down every single time, control the midfield.
You see, that's what you're gonna get when you ask the coaches to do that for you. That's what you ask the color guy to come up with. That's his major contribution, and that's why whenever you watch any major home side broadcast, the color guy is always the one that gives you the quote unquote keys to the game. No matter the sport, it's always the color guy.
Big time.
That's what he wrote.
Big time John Madden analysis there. Yeah. How do we control this game? What are the keys to the game? Score more goals. Great insight, man. Thank you.
So I'm going to toss in for Omaha. We have to be high energy and we have to shoot. It doesn't matter if they are bad shots; they just need to shoot, because ultimately, anytime we take the pressure off, it just feels like we fall entirely off the game. So just maintaining that pressure, keeping the shots there, keeping the shots hopefully on target would be even better. But I'm not can ask the world. But
you say that. You say that like our shots were on every like heat map.
With soccer is score goals.
I mean, you can't score if you don't put balls on frame.
You can't score if it's not on targets, and every shot was in every single corner above the goal except on targets.
Yeah, that was the most frustrating thing. It's get 26 shots on target, or 26 shots, 0 on target.
Yeah, I don't think I could take that personally. That would. Yep. We had our struggles last season with. Man, I just wish these guys would actually put something on frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like last night, we only managed 7 shots, but we did at least get like 3 or 4 of them on frame.
Yeah. That's great. That's great percentages. We do not have that yet.
Well, seven shots total, like 4 out of 7 might look great until you consider that we were going up against 26 and 16.
But you're looking at the percentages. You just all you have to say is 40-50% of shots.
Yeah, the ratio. That's what's important.
How many shots that was? Just say 50% of shots for us.
Just like Twitter, it's all about the ratio.
Yeah, that's the name. I've learned this from watching John Boyce. The number one rule of data journalism is to come in with an agenda and skew the numbers until it matches.
oh, just like psychology. Got it.
Oh, no, that's too good. But no, really appreciate you guys jumping on here. Looking forward to the game on Wednesday, and I hope we don't hurt your feelings too badly.
No, well, thank you very much for having us. And quite frankly, if we lost to you in Omaha, it'd be kind of poetic justice in a way, like fitting for you guys to take the rematch. But it would also really, really light a fire under this club if we lost to a League One side, not to put too fine a point on it. So it might not be the worst thing that ever happened to us.
Hey, at least it wasn't the headline in the Minneapolis Star, or is it Minnesota Star? It's one of them. Anyway, it was after we defeated Minnesota United. The headline, front page, teardrop. Yeah, that I still have a picture of the like headline on my phone somewhere. As long as it's not that bad of a headline, I think you guys are okay. So
yeah, I think we'll be all right. But yeah, thanks for having us. It was a great time. Really enjoyed it. I'm assuming you guys aren't going to be making the trip to the game. But if you are, or anyone you know is, tell them to look for me. I'll probably be wearing my River City Ramble jersey. I will be going. Mason will not. But
Wednesday night games, they're not.
It's tough.
It's hard to do, especially as an away fan. I understand.
Well, I mean, our MLS competition is typically closer than our league competition.
That sucks.
Ooh, yeah, I keep forgetting just how spread out that USL is.
Like we're closest at 5 hours, so that's about a little bit less than it takes to get to St. Louis, but about the same feel.
Yeah. That stinks.
I think that's more. I think that might actually be more of a Midwest problem than it is a league problem.
And 6 1/2 dozen the other.
Well, yeah, it's because the league is the entirety of the soccer pyramid is averse to the Midwest period. So, whatever. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, and good luck, but not too much luck on Wednesday.
Same to you.
Same to you. Yeah.